Here's what you can look forward to on this episode of The Nice Guys on Business.
Yes, it's great to make money, but once you make money, what do you do with that money? Whereas significance, it's all about others. How do I impart my wisdom, knowledge, and experience for others? And that's what it's about. And to share that servant leadership's been around forever, but hopefully, and what I'm striving for is to give you pearls so you can understand a little act of kindness for one person a day can change that person's life. It doesn't, you don't have to go to Kenya, but you can take your garbage cans in for your neighbor. That's the kind of thing. And I've disciplined myself now that there's times where I'm about ready to get in my car. And then I see my neighbor who's a widow and it's rainy and stuff and her garbage can's out. I can't get in my car unless I go put her garbage can in. Because how can I sit here on a podcast and talk about do this and then not live the walk?
So tell me, when the time is right, will you be ready for the Nice Guys on Business? Oh, yeah. Go from where you are now to where you could be. Get expert tips to grow your business, to be more productive and more efficient, whether you're trying to build influence, grow your community, or make it rain. Best-selling author of Nice Guys Finish First, Doug Sandler, can lead the way. The Nice Guys on Business is produced by Turnkey Podcast Productions. Now, here's your host, Doug Sandler.
Okay, welcome to the podcast. Now listen, if you're listening to me, this strange voice, on Magnificent Significance podcast, you'll realize that this is not Jim's voice. And I haven't explained why, so I'm about to explain why. And then, Jim, just tell everybody that I haven't held you hostage here. You're actually a legitimate guy and you're over there.
Yeah, actually,
it's got his mouth.
No, I'm here.
All right, so what we're going to do things a little differently. Again, my name is Doug Sandler, and I'm the host of the Nice Guys on Business podcast. And that guy over there, his name is, fill in the blank here, Jim.
Jim Hardwick, and I'm the host of Magnificent Significance podcast.
All right, and we are going to be simulcasting this podcast episode on both the Nice Guys on Business and Magnificent Significance, the podcast. So if we haven't thoroughly confused you yet, we're going to get into it here. Jim, do you want to share? Why don't you give those that are in my Nice Guys community, give them maybe a 20-second, just who are you and what you're doing here?
Yeah, thanks, Doug. My podcast, Magnificent Significance, is all about intentional servinghood. It's about serving others. And I always preach that if everybody could look at one way to serve one person each day, the world would change. And it's the way I live. It's what drives me. And it's creating that life of significance is very, very important to me and powerful to create a life of build legacy.
All right. And thanks, Jim. And for those that are listening that have never heard my voice before, I'm not sure actually why I'm even here. I'm so humbled just to be able to be here with Jim. He has led an entire life of helping others with his servitude. And I've done none of that. I've tried, but Jim actually does it with intention and it comes across that way. And I love that about Jim. When I understood that he was going to become a production client of our production business, I was very excited because what a cool way to give back by sharing your message and then bringing others on to share what their servant's heart has been all about. So I have a show called the Nice Guys on Business podcast. We've been doing it now, February of 2025, 10 years podcasting, 1,600 episodes. We've impacted 6 million people that have been listening to the show over the years. It is such a cool way to get your message out. And I'm going to get into talking to Jim and maybe asking him some questions, and he's going to do the same thing with me. And we're going to discover a little bit about each other today that we maybe didn't know before we got to today's episode. So where do we start, Jim? Do you want me to kick off, or do you have some things that you want to add before we get going?
First couple things. What I think is funny is that you've done 1,600. I've done 6 episodes. You've got how many millions of listeners? I have 12.
Yeah, but you know what? Still globally ranked. Jim rode the scales up and got to the ranking system as quickly as any podcaster that we've ever launched, and then produced their show. Within 2 weeks of getting into the podcasting space, he is already a top 10% ranked, globally ranked podcaster. out of 3.4, almost 3.5 million podcasts. And he's got a great listen score, consistency in putting messages out, even those 6, getting ratings and reviews from the people that are listening, and having a great listenership so far. And you were just joking about 12. Hundreds of people have already listened to a Jim show. And that is a testament to who he is. I remember way back in the beginning, starting my show, The Nice Guys. We started back in February of 2015. 7 people listened to our first episode.
Isn't that incredible?
It doesn't matter where you start. It's where you're going.
Yeah. And it's funny. Everybody has a podcast. It's like years ago, everybody was a real estate agent. You know, Aunt Sally made $10,000. So the uncle and the cousins all became real estate agents. So the thing about podcasts, I think, is a lot of people start with good intentions, but they realize how difficult it is to maintain. Fortunately, I'm blessed because I found your organization. I want to share something with the audience. Doug made this comment of, I don't serve regularly or whatnot. Well, he made a huge difference in my life, my wife's life, because we have a foundation called Hardwick Foundation where we lead dental teams to Kenya every year. And Melinda Gates has a grant. She's offering $250 million grants.
Wow.
And so, you know, if it was 12 grants, I would think, we don't even have a shot. We might have a shot with 250, and it would just bless us so much because we're building a clinic over in Kenya to really create sustainable dental care for the Masai people, which is the indigenous tribe. So within the grant, it talks about we need a 90-second video, and they really downplay it. They say, it's okay. You can just use it on your phone. You know, don't make this a big deal. And I thought, okay, fine. But, you know, you get one shot at $1 million.
Right.
And so I thought, wait a second. I know this production company. That's amazing. And so I reached out to Doug and I said, Doug, I've got this video. Could you help me? And Doug said, yeah, just turn it over. And I said, Doug, let me know whatever it costs. It doesn't, can you just maybe make some music or something? I have no idea. And the real sidebar story is, so my wife, because it's dealing with women's health, had my wife record the video on a Sunday afternoon. And what I didn't do, because I have a mic for you folks that you can't see it, it swivels. Well, the first time she recorded the video, I had the mic off to the side. This was my fault, not her fault, because she's not comfortable doing this kind of stuff. But she did it. And I said it to Doug and said, Doug says, Jim, it was okay. I mean, she did great, but you can hardly hear her.
Right.
And I thought it sounded great, but these guys know this stuff. And so he says, can you get her to do it again?
Yikes.
On Monday night at 8:30 at night, I walk out and says, Doug wants you to do it again. And she's like, oh no. So she goes, she does it again. It was actually better the second time.
Right.
So make the long story longer. At that point, I sent it back to Doug. He said, this is perfect. I sent him some pictures, some B-roll. I'm telling you, folks, they came back with this video that blew my socks off.
Amazing team.
And the story that told, the way they incorporated every single picture with the way my wife told the story, it gave us goosebumps. And I said, Doug, you know, what can I pay you for this? And he's, you know, he and Strickland and what was the guy that
I think Ronaldo on our team did the editing of that one.
Yeah, Ronaldo. They just did a magnificent job. And they said, no, we'd like to do this for you. Oh,
it was just, you know, it's giving back. I mean, for a guy that's constantly is giving, let somebody give to you. You know, that's the way I felt.
It is. I never, ever assume anything, but that's an act of service that can bless so many people. And here's the other thing is, if we don't get the Melinda Gates grant, they also send it out to a bunch of other grant community that we might get. And this video is priceless. So your whole audience hears what a stud muffin you guys are. To serve us in that capacity was just more than far exceeded my expectations. And thank you.
Well, our pleasure to do it. And I want to talk a little bit about the purpose of your podcast, why you're even here, why it even was compelling for you to want to put together this video. It sounds like you have these trips that you go and you're setting up a dental clinic over in Kenya. And it's something that most people just don't even think of in the course of their day. They're so busy running around being busy that you don't necessarily think about, well, how can I possibly serve even in my own neighborhood, let alone serving this community that's over in Kenya? So how did that even, I know you shared the story on a morning show that you were just recently on, in your neck of the woods. But share how the whole idea came together of just serving this community in Kenya.
2018, we went to Kenya on a safari thinking it was a one and done. Africa wasn't on our bucket list and we like to travel. And we thought, we'll go take a bunch of pictures. So, you go to Columbia store and you buy all the safari clothes because you're dorks. And, and then we went over to Africa, went to Kenya. And because of the safari camp that we were a part of, we got to go, we had some special type trips. We got to go to a school, which was on my intro and outro music is the music from the school children that I took in 2018, which is, I just love. It's just infectious when you hear it. And then we went to a medical clinic, and I was in the medical distribution space for 36 years in medical devices. And so I walked into a medical clinic, Doug, and it's a cinder block building with 2 rooms, 2 tables, and virtually nothing else but a physician assistant. And it was like, wow, these people have nothing. And so when I walked out of the medical clinic, I asked Derek, our guide, I said, Derek, do they ever bring dental teams through here? And the reason I asked that is because my wife has been a dental hygienist for 40 years. She actually just retired on October 30th. She's cleaned over, we did the calculation, 1,344,000 teeth.
Wow.
Stick a fork in my eye. I could never do that. I mean, and she's an angel. I mean, It's amazing. Her patients love her. That's a lot of teeth, folks.
That is a lot of teeth.
I asked him, do they bring a dental team? And Derek said, no, they bring medical teams through, but never dental.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, Derek, is there a need for dental? Because I don't know. And he says, I've got a cavity right here. And Doug, I want to backtrack real quick. I had been looking for 8 years. I read a book by Bob Buford called Halftime. So I've been looking for 8 years how to create a life of significance.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't found it. Well, when I asked that question to Derek, at that moment, God spoke to me. The prior Masai chief spoke to me and said, you're bringing a dental team back. Went back to the tent that night, and I looked at my wife and I said, Jody, we are blessed with so much. They have so little. I want to bring a dental team back.
Wow.
And here's the pivotal question. Will you come alongside me?
Because, if she doesn't do it, then you're SOL.
If she doesn't do it, I'm worse than SOL. I go to bed at night and we get up and eat breakfast, right?
Right.
And she says, yes. 10 months later, Doug, we took our first team. We set up in a tent and we saw 191 patients. Last year was our 4th trip. And that's 4 days.
Right.
We saw 293 patients, extracted 203 teeth, did 79 cavities. 70% of all the people we saw were in pain in 4 days. And now Masai families donated land. So now you're going to say, well, okay, Hardwick Foundation, get it. What is magnificent significance? I like to call it MagSig because I can't spell magnificent significance. But, what's that about? Well, I came home and I thought, Doug, there might be a story to be told.
Right.
But I'm a sales guy. Nobody wants to listen to a sales guy. There's 5 million sales books out there. Just find one and read one. And so, but I said, there's a way to serve your clients, the way to serve humanity. How do I parlay what we work in Kenya in the way to serve, incorporate that with business? So I wrote a program called Magnificent Significance. It's about embracing your servant's heart to elevate your business. And because I'm a sales consultant dealing with business owners, it's between 1 million and 50 million. I really wanted it to share that, impact those folks, because I see the struggles of people. It's hard to have a small, mid-sized business in America. And that's the backbone of America. So now what the program is, Doug, is I take business owners, business leaders to Kenya on a 7-day safari. This is separate from the dental work. So we're not asking you to go and pull teeth.
Right.
And we're going in October, and we're going to unpack my program for 2 hours a day, but we're going to go on safari. And it's for you and your spouse, significant others, because as you evolve and you really start looking and evaluating, how do I make a difference? How do I change my life? You want to bring in your family along that journey because it's exciting. And when you're doing it together, it gives you a chance to wake up. And when you start affecting and going that change, you're affecting your employees, your family, your clients. Yeah. And it's no longer about me. It's how can I serve them? And the last thing I'll say, and I won't say anything more about this part, is that when you serve and you get back, it comes back tenfold. And it's amazing. I never worry about where I'm getting clients from. They just come.
Isn't that
And
amazing? And isn't that so like, karma? It feels like you give because it's a good thing to be able to give and to be able to serve. But I oftentimes find that when you give, it's almost like it's a selfish act. When you give, it makes you feel good to give. And not just money, but of your time, especially of your time. When you give of your time and you serve in an environment that you're even passionate about, or even if it's not passionate about what you're doing, but just the idea of giving, it always comes back to help you.
when you serve with that intentionality and not do it because, well, Jim said if I serve others, it comes back to me tenfold. How can I go? Let me go cut somebody's grass. Let me do this because it's going to come back. No, you serve from the heart. And that's what's important. And when it's real and genuine, it's heartfelt, that's when it makes a difference.
Can you maybe share a little bit about you've done this 4 times, did you say?
Yeah, we're leaving March 21st for our 5th trip.
Okay, so you've done this 4 times. Number 5 is coming up. Do you have any particular or specific stories that you might be able to, or even a story of someone that went on this journey with you that you either found something good? I know I didn't set this up for you, so I didn't give you any time to prepare. But is there anybody that's gone with you that you're like, wow, this was so great. This was exactly what I wanted them to see. And they have been able to also share in the passion of giving and serving because they went on this trip with you?
Doug, I don't think I have specific stories. However, I will share with you, we've had multiple clinicians come back to us 2 or 3 times, and it's who they've become.
Yeah.
And it's affected their lives. And we make such an impact over there that we say in 16 days, because we go 4 days at a time,
Yeah.
we've seen over 1,200 patients now. And yeah, we made a difference in their lives. But it's the people that we bring that come back and their lives have changed forever.
You ever seen that bumper sticker? Somebody, it's like the SPCA bumper sticker. It's like who rescued who. It's like when you go there and you rescue a dog, and it's like you love this dog so much, but the dog really did more for you than you did for the dog. Doesn't it feel like sometimes when you do this journey that the people that you are taking, while you are doing extremely important and beneficial work to the people that are receiving, the people that are giving the service, they walk away with as much of that feeling of accomplishment and victory as anybody through the process.
Well, and these clinicians, okay, think about how most people feel about their dentist, right?
Right.
Nobody wakes up in the morning, flies out of bed and says, honey, I'm going to go see the dentist today. This is the best day of my life. Usually it's, oh gosh. And then they have that same attitude when they get in the chair. And it's just like, it's people struggle. And a lot of it's how they were treated when they're younger. So they have all this PTSD. I hear over and over again, what is so cool when we go there, the trust these people have. They've never seen a dentist.
Right.
They're laying, as my wife says, they're literally laying their heads in our laps because, when you lean back in the chair, the dentist is right there. And they have so much trust, and they're so thankful, and they're so appreciative. Every patient to a fault that is going through this, and these clinicians are just beaming because they're appreciated.
And it's probably the same thing with, you never wake up as the patient saying, oh man, I get to go to the dentist today. Oftentimes you'll have the same thing from the clinician's perspective. They don't oftentimes wake up saying, I get to go to my dental practice today, because it's a lot of times it's a grind. They're dealing with insurance, and they're dealing with all, their bosses and all of that crowded work environment. And when you're there, it's like the clinicians are like, they probably are excited to be able to help all of these people because those people are so appreciative of the care that they are receiving.
Yeah, it's remarkable. And when we first started, because we raise all the money, 100% of what we raise goes to the clinic. We don't pay ourselves, to our foundation. We don't pay ourselves to nothing. We just work tirelessly to help these people. And I sent out my first fundraising letter. And this person in the community sent me back an email and said, Jim, admire what you're doing, but your heart's in the wrong place. We have people in Phoenix that are in need of this service, and you're going all the way across the world to serve these people. And I won't tell you my first thought. But
I can tell you my first thought.
but I know this gentleman. And so I just kind of went, how do I handle that? So I thought, okay, let me educate.
Right.
So I got online, and Doug, there's 13 free dental clinics in Phoenix. 13 free. All they have to do is seek it out.
Right.
Across the street from where we live, they see 600 kids on a 3-day weekend with people donate their dental services and help all these kids. It's there in America. We have so many free services. We're going to a population where it's a 3 or 4 hour bus ride for them to seek care. It can cost them up to $150, and the average income for a family is $2,500 a year. So what do? Right now, we've got people back there waiting for us to show up in March that are in pain. And think about, have you ever had a toothache in your life?
Yeah, it's not good. And these people have been living with it oftentimes for months or years.
Yeah. Or it gets infected, they get an abscess. And so it's funny how I used to be kind of like that guy. I used to think, why would you go overseas to help when there's such a need here? And then because we've been blessed and we travel a lot, I really believe it's important to give globally, nationally, and locally. There's a need everywhere. And either you think of we're all human and we take care of each other, or you build a wall of America and says we're only dealing with folks in America. And that's not the way I believe, because people are people.
Did you realize before you took that first trip, I know it's hard to look into a crystal ball and determine what the the future is going to be, but did you have any clue what was going to happen on that trip?
Oh gosh, no, Doug. No. And not only that, the reason why this happened, I think, is because I've become more intentional in my life. As you get older, you start seeing people pass away, people suffering cancer, and you realize you only have so many years, days, and minutes and seconds on this earth. And so I typically would have thought, oh, I'm bringing a dental team back. Not told my wife, just thought about it. 5 years later, driving down the freeway on a warm day in Phoenix going, that would have been cool if I would have brought a dental team back. Never did it. But now when I think of things, I act, because life's too short. So if I'm driving down the road and I think, I haven't talked to Doug in a while, you'll get a phone call from me because there's some reason why you popped in my head. There's a need there. You might be hurting, or you need to tell me a joke or something, whatever. But now intentionality. So no way in the world, because we will be living there for 3 or 4 months a year from now, because we're building a house right next to the clinic, really small house, but because I just love the atmosphere there. Plus, it's fun to be the only white guy in town.
Tell me about how how Jody's role, your wife's role, is in this. I know that she likes to remain the silent partner. She doesn't want to be the one that's doing any of the broadcasting or marketing, but she is the one that's doing a lot of the work. So what's her role over in Kenya?
Oh, in Kenya, she is the most organized person I've ever met. And she retired October 30th, and she's working 8 to 10 hours a day. So we've got a gala coming up on February 21st. And so that has been tirelessly working. We've had a lot of people come alongside of us, and we're hoping for great success. But she works and works and works. So I'm the idea visionary guy, and I can handle all the business stuff. And if there's a difficult situation, I'm comfortable doing it. With her, it's all about, we take over 825 dental supplies every year. Think about that.
825 pounds, 825 units,
items, different items, different, tips and gloves and this and that we need to supply. We have a lot of product over there already. So she is the detail, the organization, and she's amazing. And she's talking more and more, like we're talking at the gala. What's fun is when she talks, because she's not a polished talker, her passion just comes through, and the audience, they just listen.
Is the goal eventually to have round the calendar clinic that's over there, or is the intention to have it so that you go 4 times a year, 8 times a year, whatever the amount of times that you go, have open hours for those several days while you're there?
No, it will be full time. We're going to hire a dentist, and it will be open 260 days a year.
Wow.
Yeah. So right now we go 4 days, 260 days a year is a lot more than 4. And so we're really about sustainability because we got to help with sustainability and education.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's important.
Well, it sounds like you have done a great job in the early stages of putting this together. I know one of the purposes of the podcast was to find people in your audience or in your guest seat or wherever it's going to be that are interested in making this journey with you. So if somebody's listening to the podcast, I know you did cover this just a handful of episodes ago in your welcome episode when you started talking about who do you want to have listening to the show. But since we're engaged in this conversation now, can you maybe share like what kind of messages are you going to be sharing on the podcast as you continue creating content?
The message is creating a life of purpose. It's, you've gotten a feel for who I am, and it's about intentional servanthood. And I'm bringing people on the podcast that have discovered what that means. I've had some dynamic guests already, and how their lives have changed because of some of them were chasing the dollar. I talk about the difference between success and significance. So success is all about me. How many boats can I have? How many cars can I have? How many houses can I have? Look at me, look at me, look at me. Yes, it's great to make money, but once you make money, what do you do with that money? Where significance, it's all about others. How do I impart my wisdom, knowledge, and experience for others? And that's what it's about. And to share that servant leadership's been around forever, but hopefully, and what I'm striving for is to give you pearls so you can understand a little act of kindness for one person a day can change that person's life. It doesn't, you don't have to go to Kenya, but you can take your garbage cans in for your neighbor. That's the kind of thing. And I've disciplined myself now that there's times where I'm about ready to get in my car. And then I see my neighbor who's a widow and it's rainy and stuff and her garbage can's out. I can't get in my car unless I go put her garbage can in. Because how can I sit here on a podcast and talk about do this and then not live the walk?
Well, it's kind of like when you live with intention, and part of your intention is to give, that servant's heart is always seeking to help. When you're out there in the world, it could be something as insignificant as opening a door for someone, or it could be just smiling at someone or complimenting someone or talking to somebody that doesn't normally get spoken to, especially if it's dealing with somebody, at a retail counter where, they just get, pardon the expression, crapped on all day. To be able to have a positive word or to strike a conversation other than what's the retail conversation. Those are the things I look for. Those, I love those opportunities. Those for me, that makes my day to help somebody make their day. So selfishly, I give those things, those words or services, because I think it's just the right thing to do.
And Doug, what did that cost you?
Nothing.
There you go.
Nothing. It's
and
absolutely.
You change somebody's perspective, somebody's day, possibly somebody's life. And it costs you nothing but effort.
Well, if you are tuning into Magnificent Significance for the first time, continue listening to this great man bring his great message to the audience. If you're listening through this with the Nice Guys on Business podcast, I'm obviously going to put a link in the show notes to Jim's podcast. Make sure you check it out. If you only have the opportunity to listen to one podcast a week, listen to Jim's. If it's the second one, go ahead and listen to mine. Because I know that Jim's got some great things to say. We have some cool guests on the Nice Guys on Business. I've been enjoying bringing this content out, like Jim, sharing his message with the world. He is a magnificent, significant person in my life. And Jim, I so appreciate you sharing your story and your passion with what you do and how you do it on the Nice Guys today. So thanks for being here.
Doug, thank you. It's been wonderful. And I don't know what it is. Like, we're two brothers from another mother. There's a connection there that ever since I met you, it's just, I love spending time with you. So thank you.
I feel the same way. And thank you, Jim. So for those of you listening, check the show notes, whatever show you are hearing this episode on, check the link in the show notes for both access to Jim's website and to our Nice Guys website as well. Anything that I'm missing, Jim, before we wrap up? Do you want to do the get us out of here? Do you have any signature out on your podcast or anything
I do have a signature
All right,
out.
you finish then.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Until next week, keep leading, keep serving, and keep living a magnificent life.
Click on the Patreon link in the show notes. And for as little as $2 a month, you can help support the podcast and get access to fun bonus content. That's like half a cup of Starbucks coffee once a month, a grande, double shot, maybe a little flavoring. Thanks for listening. I mean, seriously, you need to cut back on your caffeine anyway.